I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the town of Grand Bay-Westfield on Monday, January the 8th, 2024 to order at 7 o'clock p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that Grand Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Woolastook Way land. The lands of Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Woolastook, along which live Woolastook Way, people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders, past and present, and descendants of this land. Item 4, record of attendance. We have everyone in attendance this evening. Thank you, Council. My apologies. Regrets from Councillor. Item 5, agenda approval. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of January 8th, 2024 as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh-Lawrence. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any? There being none, we'll move on to item 7, public hearings, presentations, delegations, petitions. There being none, we'll move on to item 8, minutes of previous meeting. 8A, regular council minutes of December 11th, 2023. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of December 11th, 2023 as presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 9, unfinished business. There being none. Item 10, bylaws. There being none, we'll move on to item 11, new business recommendations. 11A, annual bonding. And John, can I get you to speak to the item, please?
I'm going to turn this over to our Chief Finance Officer, Your Worship.
James?
Thank you, John. Yes, Your Worship. So, the Local Governance Act requires the town to show proof of insurance and bonding coverage. This is for the Mayor, Council and staff. Enclosed in your package is confirmation from our new insurers, RMA, that we do have the required coverage in place. This is something that is done each year at the first council meeting of the year.
Okay, thank you, James. You have any questions for James on bonding?
Just one question, Your Worship. I noticed in the supporting documentation that from the insurers that the validity period for the town's new insurance is from January 1st, 2024 until November 1st, 2024. Aren't they usually for 12 months?
They usually are RMA. Their cycle is from November to November.
Okay.
So because we're switching over to them,
That makes sense.
yeah, it actually works out really well for our budget cycle because we'll go through the renewal process before we finalise the budget, so it's quite advantageous.
Your Worship, if I could. Further, I totally forgot when we were going through this process, and then when James brought it to my attention. The other reason for the type of business model they operate, their audit period is immediately following, and so that they don't have overlapping policies. They want clean breaks so they get the audit done on time to meet provincial regulations. So that's the real reason why they moved it back. I don't know if it's for our convenience for budgeting, but I'm glad that it is.
Thank you for the response.
Thank you, Councillor. Is there no other questions for staff? The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the annual bonding town employees as of January 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. A second by Councillor Balcom. Any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 11B, Planning Director Appointment. And again, I'll pass this over to you, John.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, we're just making a change in planning, and I'll let David speak to it.
Thanks, John. The provincial requirement for under the Community Planning Act is that we need to have a registered professional planner as a planning director. Doesn't have to be on staff, can be a consultant. So we lined up Frank Flanagan. We've worked with him several times over the years when he had his own professional consultant firm. He was also the head of the planning department in the city of Fredericton. Now works with EXP, so we use on an as needed basis.
Thank you, David. John?
And I just want to assure council that I have a meeting tomorrow for secondary support as well. And I don't expect any issues with that going forward.
Thank you, John. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield appoint Frank Flanagan, RPP, as a planning consultant to fulfill the role of the town's planning director under authority of section 10(1)(b) of the Community Planning Act. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, council. 11C, mandate letters. And again, I will pass this over to you, John.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is an annual process that I've introduced to the town since I've come here. And basically, this just ensures that not only does administration deliver on the core services that are expected of us, but also that we can move council's strategic plan forward. So typically, core services are captured in some of the language, but also the primary focus is on strategic processes. And so we should be good, and we'll be reviewing this throughout the year to ensure that we're on track. And just jumping ahead a little bit, Your Worship, this also is showing up in the year-end reports as well as to how this transpired.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John before I move on to the motion? I just want to outline it's the first year that we have a mandate letter from the CAO as well, so.
I forgot that part,
Yeah.
sorry.
The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield refer the mandate letters to be used as part of the CAO and leadership team's performance evaluations. Do I have a motion?
Sorry, can I just amend the wording?
Yes.
Sorry. Accept and refer.
To accept and refer.
Yeah.
That the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield accept and refer the mandate letters to be used as part of the CAO and leadership team's performance evaluations. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. And 11D, year-end 2023. And I think we all spent lots of time reading that report, but I'll pass it on to you, John.
The original report before I edited was 165 pages, Your Worship. What this does is indicates the numerous items that administration worked on. I mentioned that I edited it. All the items that were edited out were archived items that had to be abandoned, which council knows them, or items that have been completed. So it's just a briefer version of a full report, and we'll be inputting this stuff for the next year. You'll be getting this on a quarterly basis, a year one next January. I think this is your third year-end report, if I recall. And this is a good way to determine how administration is doing as well. And I think there's very few red spots in here, and there's always some explanation as to why things are the way they are.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John on the year-end report before I move on to the motion? The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the information as presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Balcom, and that was a second by Councillor Burpee. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item E, 11E, incentives program. And again, I'll pass this over to you, John.
Yes, Your Worship. One of the things that we had to do in 2023 was review the existing incentive program. And then as part of our half application process, we did consult with industry, and one of the things we heard loud and clear is the developers need assistance. So we're repealing this one, and then we will be bringing forward a new residential development incentive program. We're just waiting to hear about our half application, and if we don't receive half, then the amount that we're able to offer as incentive will be reduced. So we're just waiting. Nobody's really heard when they're going to be hearing from half, but everybody in communities our size and up to say about 20,000, we're just waiting and we've not had any communication.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John on the incentive programs before we move on?
Sorry, just for clarification, once we do have the details from half or without half, we will make the new incentive program retroactive to tomorrow.
The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield repeal the incentive program of November 14th, 2019, effective January 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Council. This is a good move. It'll help us focus the incentives on the type of housing that we need. So. Item 11F, communications plan.
Well, before I turn it over to our communications manager, I just want to commend them for taking the efforts that the deputy CAO and I did shortly after I arrived, and really building up the plan, building up the program. And I'm happy to say that I've had a couple of CAOs telling me that their goal is to have their communications department as good as ours. So just hats off to our communications manager, and I'll let him address the plan.
Thank you, John. Your Worship and Council, in alignment with the town's strategic priority of organizational capacity and our value of transparency, I worked with Transitional Solutions Incorporated to formalize this official communications plan to build upon the CAO and Deputy CAO when I arrived here. The purpose of the plan is to establish a foundation of a more informed and engaged community, stakeholders, council, and staff. Items in the plan include the purpose and function of communications, audiences, goals and challenges, communications methods, and touches on crisis communications as well. And I'm looking forward to using that as a roadmap going forward.
Great, thank you, Brock. Does anybody have any questions for Brock or John before I move on to the motion? I just want to say that I was really thrilled with the plan as presented. And I want to echo what John says. I hear from my colleagues all across the province, and in some cases in other provinces, about how they look at the town of Grand Bay-Westfield and its communications now as the gold standard. They say that we communicate everything, we communicate frequently, we communicate clearly, and we communicate well. So kudos to you, Brock. This is excellent work, and I look forward to you bringing our values of transparency forward into the future.
Thank you.
So the motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the communications plan for immediate effect. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Falcom. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 12, bills for payment. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the January 8th, 2024 bills for payment as presented in the amount for $676,770.21. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence?
Number 31, 6,500, what was the aquatic center project?
So what was their budget or what was the work done?
What was the project?
Oh, projects, sorry. They replaced glazing units and the curtain wall cladding by St. Patrick's Street facing windows and doors. and then they replaced 4 air handling units.
I have one other one, number 56, 240,000 for dog control, solid waste.
Those were the first descriptions that fit into this box.
There's more?
Yeah, so 220,000 is the RCMP. That's the final payment for 23,
That makes sense.
because, sorry, yeah.
I don't think we have that.
Or we could just say there's a lot of garbage that comes from Ward 2. But no, seriously, so the other big spends in that bucket, and I don't have the exact totals unless our CFO does, curbside collection, which the rural district manager handled the tender for us. The province has made it clear to him, to me, that they don't want to do it again, that this is a bridging measure. And then the last unit is funding is the SPCA, and that's at $700.
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Does that answer your question, Councilor?
Number 77, Renaissance Meditation Services,
Mediation.
mediation services, what's that for?
77?
Yeah.
Oh, that one, that's just mediation. I don't know how much detail you want to public.
And 102, 103, 104, 105, and 106, are they all trucks for the plow trucks or for maintenance or upkeep or?
No, there's one fire truck in there.
Yeah.
And the fire department had just a bad year last year when it came to repairs. And then the rest of it, I'm gonna have to turn over to the Works Commissioner to answer those.
Yes, all the other ones are for the plow trucks.
Sort of.
All plow trucks, we go universal, these are all.
So they're all running now, every one of them, or is it?
Yeah.
That's good to hear that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you, Council. Item 13, consent agenda. 13A, letter dry docking of the MV Madeline II. B, letter Communities in Bloom. C, letter Rainbow Registered. D, letter UMNB member update. E, letter Minister of Public Safety, re-policing boundaries. F, letter Nature Trust NB. G, minutes RBCC September 19th, 2023. H, minutes RBCC October 17th, 2023. I, monthly report Fire Rescue Department November 2023. J, monthly report Fire Rescue Department December 2023. K, junior achievement, and consent agenda. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the consent agenda items for January 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Clarification, Your Worship.
Yes.
Regarding E, Minister of Public Safety regarding policing boundaries. The letter doesn't read what the follow-up phone call said. First thing Tuesday morning, 9:15, I got a phone call from Justice indicating that the measure was just temporary until the 911 changes go into effect April. The original reading of that document suggests that it's permanent, but no, it's just temporary. They phoned before I could email them to let them know what's going on here. So they quickly followed up with that. So just to clarify for council, in the public, policing at, I'm drawing a blank on the bar right now.
Wise guys.
Wise Guys in that area is St. John Police until April. And then the 911 map changes, catches up to municipal boundaries, and then it will be the RCMP.
I had received that letter and had immediate concerns about it, particularly based on the conversation we'd had with CO Hill at the UMNB AGM. So I think I don't even know if you'd gotten to my email by the time you'd gotten that phone call, but I'm glad to hear that it was resolved appropriately.
Yeah, I just thought council needs to know that, what the intent of the letter was.
So any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Move on to item 14, council reports, and we will start with the Councillor Balcom today.
Thank you, Your Worship. Very quiet last 2 to 3 weeks since the last council meeting. Enjoyed a great Christmas holiday, ready to get back to work, and other than some telephone calls and online meetings with my position on TD Harbour Station Board over the last couple of work days, it's been pretty quiet.
Thank you. Councillor Burpee.
Happy New Year. I made it through the first year of being councillor. So January 5th, which was Friday, we had the first committee meeting to name the snow plows. There was lots of creative entries, and I look forward to learning the winning names. Also over the weekend, the fire department flooded the outdoor rink at Four Corners. So with the help of the cold weather and no snow, the ice is in great condition, and there was a great turnout for skating there yesterday. And also just with another storm threatening us on Wednesday, I would just like to remind everybody to review your backup plan for power outages. So there's the last few power outages that we had lasted several days, and my family reorganized our entire plan so that we're more prepared, because it looks like we'll probably have a couple of other ones down the road, so it's better to be prepared to check on your neighbors, especially the seniors, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bailman.
Okay, I'd like to address last week's meeting here, so I'd like to address the recent decision on the letter of reprimand dated December 12th. Following my presentation to council on December 11th, I sought legal advice regarding the complaint in the investigation report dated November 27, 2023, and I was advised that the investigators' finding of the conflict of interest was based solely on an assertion that it was a conflict of interest. While I understand that perception is important, the investigator, who had no evidence before her regarding any potential change in the property values for myself and for other adjacent properties, landowners, in either positive or negative, the finding of a conflict of interest does not consider that a walking trail in the area could devalue land just as easy as it increases the value. To provide clarity, I acknowledge my prominence within the community. During the petition, I participated as a resident, while it was widely known that I held a council position. I neither denied my status nor portrayed myself as a councillor during the petition. Not one elected official or staff raised concerns about the conflict of interest. And the collective understanding was that my involvement was in the best interest of the community. My intent was to contribute positively to our community through the trail project. The CAO had ample opportunities to address my request in a timely manner, preventing the current situation. I am taking the brunt for the CAO's oversight on this process. Although I may not fully agree with the reprimand, I am exploring an acceptable governance course, and hope all of you do the same thing, of course. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McIntosh Lawrence.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been pretty quiet. So like Councillor Burby, on Friday, I attended the first snowplow naming meeting. So I think there were like 270 some entries, and so we boiled it down to about 20, I think. So those will be going out soon for everyone to vote on. And the only other thing I have, I'd just like to remind everyone about public skating on this Sunday, and to keep your ears open for some special guests that may be attending.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Toole.
Thanks. Not to be a broken record, but I also had a lot of fun at the snowplow naming committee meeting. That was great. So keep an eye out for that. Those will be going out, I think, relatively soon for public voting, a shortlist, which is great. And the only other thing I have is I wanted to remind the public of a really important meeting next Tuesday, January 16th, about the landfill expansion project for Crane Mountain. And we advocated quite hard, this has come up at the council meetings earlier, to get more public input, because I think with the consensus we heard from people in Grand Bay-Westfield was that they weren't heard, there wasn't enough consultation. So we're really, really happy that they've put in this public consultation session, and it's a long session. There's a drop-in at 6, full presentation at 7, and then a question and answer session built in that's an hour long. So we really, really encourage anybody, if you are able to, please attend Tuesday, January 16th at St. Matthew's Church, open house 6, presentation 7, question and answer 7:30 to 8:30.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and you stole my thunder on
Oh,
that one.
sorry.
That's okay, the more of us talk
Yeah.
about this issue, the better. I had a fairly quiet holiday as well, but I'm always taking phone calls and talking to people, but one of the focuses that I had was the landfill expansion project. So I am very pleased to hear that they have this additional in-person public engagement opportunity, and I would really, like the Deputy Mayor said, encourage people to go. If in order for me to be taken more seriously around the commission table, I need the power of your voices. So I would love to see a really robust attendance by the people of Grand Bay-Westfield, so that you can learn about the project, you can have an opportunity to ask your questions and be more informed going forward. I also want to address some of the issues with the methane odor that's still coming from the landfill. This morning I asked for an update on what's been going on in terms of mitigation factors at the landfill. The last update I had was that the new landfill gas wells were to be installed and hooked up in late fall, and this was supposed to help reduce the odor that's coming from the landfill, but frankly, it's only gotten worse since then. So there are more days that I smell it than I don't smell it when we're coming along the Martin on bypass or going along Highway 7. So I've asked for an update on where we are with that process, whether the genset has been running, whether the landfill gas wells have been hooked up, and if all of this is working and we're still having issues with odor, what the next steps are. So that's my update there, and I will continue to advocate on all of our behalfs with the FRSC on that. So, thank you, Council, again for all of the work that you do on behalf of the residents of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield. Move on to item 15, business arising from committee of the whole. There being none, we'll move on to item 16, adjournment. And the motion is the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 7:28 p.m. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the leadership team as well.